This episode of The Lab Inside the Game Industry is brought to you by Midwest Games. Live from New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Green Bay, Wisconsin, this is The Lab. With your alchemists, Angel Guevara and Greg Posner. Tonight's special event, spring into your new game career with Amir Satvat. And Lab News with Cassandra Liu. Tonight on The Lab Inside the Game Industry. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to The Lab. I am your alchemist. And I know you're not used to seeing me. I'm usually behind the scenes. But I'm here with Miss Cassandra. And, of course, Greg is not with us today, but that's all right. He'll be back with us next week. And a little bit of sad news. Angel had to pursue what he was already doing. It just wasn't in the scope for him. But tonight we have an awesome show. If you don't know, and you're just tuning in, we have the Amir Satvat here with us, and hopefully I won't reveal anything else, but there might be another special guest coming on as well. So, how you doing, Cassandra?
Good. Yeah, for the new audience watching the episode, my name is Cassandra. I'm your regular alchemist. Welcome to the lab. I am doing good, Patrick. Busy. Well, it's spring, and then I'm excited for the summer to come, but definitely
Yes.
really busy right now working on the game, and then just yeah, just busy in general. How about
Right,
you,
right.
Patrick?
Same thing. 217 is quite an endeavor. Um, and also, my heart to build this platform, the lab, um, for nights like tonight with the guests we have on. This should be such an impactful episode for anybody who doesn't know Amir's community. And for those who do know, there's still going to be a lot of stuff in there. So um, I'm just really excited to be on here. Usually I'm back behind the scenes and touching buttons and making all the magic happen, but here I am.
Sorry, Patrick. I don't know if I'm encountering some audio issue, but I cannot really hear you.
Okay, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. How about this? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So everybody could hear me. You just couldn't. I see that. This is why I'm supposed to be paying attention to the board. But okay. So what's some stuff we got going on in the news? I've been actually kind of ill for the past 2 days, so I've been
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, totally. We can jump right into the news, but before that, I want to. I don't know if I've covered it already, but how was last week's Green Bay event?
Actually, it was really, really great. We had a lot of people show up. Bay Tech Entertainment was out there, and our friends over at Pyramid Lake Games. They have this really cool game that I'm sure most of you guys know about it. It's called The Floor Is What, and they actually
Mm.
had a stand-up cabinet, like Ninja Turtle style, old Simpson style, 4x4. It was it was really cool. Um, and they had virtual reality out there. Edge VR Arcade was out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a really good time. The football game was awesome. To see all the families come out, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So Patrick, I remember you mentioned that
Oh, Kyle just hit us with some bits. Oh no, thank you, Kyle. That's awesome.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, just really quick, because like last week you mentioned like you want to bring some gear for like for kids to see all your like production,
Yeah,
right? Like behind the scene of production. How was it?
it was fun. It was fun. Unfortunately, the plan was to get there and set up the live,
Mm-hmm.
so that they could see themselves on the camera. And then I was made aware that there's no internet, so we couldn't do that. But we did have the cameras and stuff set up, and everything could touch stuff and see stuff, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm pretty sure they're having a good time, right?
yeah,
Like, all-
yeah, yeah. We missed you. Wish you and Mark could have been out there, but it was still a lot of fun. You guys, it would have been a long drive for you to come out there anyway, so everything was
yeah,
cool with that. So
yeah.
what kind of stuff is going on current events? Stuff that's not in the news that you're going to cover in a little bit. Anything going on?
Not you mean not like community news like happening around the
Yeah,
world?
just I don't know. So switch
No,
to the magnetic things broke or something. I don't I don't notice.
yeah, yeah, totally. Because I'm actually very curious. I know we talked about this already, but like the Minecraft movie, right? Yeah,
I had a blast. Yeah, I think it was great.
yeah.
Put in the chat, guys. Did you see the Minecraft movie and what did you think about it? Did they chicken jockey and popcorn the mess out of you, or was it like kind of fun? Like no, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, totally. I haven't seen it yet, but planning to. Like because like we talked about it before already. Like you mentioned, it's lots of fun. So definitely would love to check it out.
Well, first we mine, then we craft, and then we Minecraft. Yeah, it was great. What
Awesome.
else? So our friend Ben Geisler is from Eline Media, and they have a game jam coming up. I just was made aware of this today, so I'm kind of speaking a little prematurely, but it should be a lot of fun. So for any of you Midwest people, Green Bay, Milwaukee, even Madison, Wausau, come over and show off your games and be part of the community. Um, and I think it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. We also have that event coming up with Raven, where we're
Hmm.
gonna go and tour Raven with Brian Raffle, which will be a lot of fun
Yeah,
as
totally,
well.
totally.
So
Excited to see all the behind the scene. I am like really curious on that.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun because of the equipment and the facility that they have is not your normal facility. They have all the special tools and all the stuff that makes them great, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to see that. Plus, we'll be announcing, hopefully towards the middle of the year, maybe towards the third quarter of the year, how a lot of that equipment will be actually accessible to you guys. So if you're working on a game and you are looking for motion tracking or hand tracking, facial tracking, we're working on a very cool thing for the whole indie community. So keep an eye on that as well. Um,
Yeah, totally. I would say the best way is subscribe because
yes,
we're very active on LinkedIn, we're active on Twitch, so we will send all the
Kyle, that's
you know
awesome.
thank you, Kyle. Yeah, we will send all the updates. So like the Raven events that's coming up, like you really want to see behind the scene with me and Patrick, definitely subscribe because like the date we will be announcing dates soon. So yeah,
And
thank you.
and if you guys don't know, um, we are like everywhere. So for the people watching right now that might be on LinkedIn, which is why you came here to see Amir. Trust me, you'll see him in a second. Um, but I know a lot of you guys are coming from LinkedIn. I unfortunately am blind to LinkedIn right now, so I can't answer any of your questions. Um, I do apologize for that. Amir, if you could pop on, he's in the recording room. But Amir, if you could pop on LinkedIn the live and maybe just see if there's any questions anybody has for you while we're segueing over to the news section. And speaking of that, you ready to hit some news?
Yeah, totally. Let's go for it.
All right, guys. So here's our lab news with Cassandra Liu.
All right, guys. So this is my weekly "What's Going On Around the World" section. For our new audience, I usually cover what is going on, like this week and last week, what's happening around the world, and how can we participate, right? So for this week, and then last week, it's been a little quiet on the North America and Asia and the Middle East side, but we do have a few events happening in Europe. So if anyone's watching, and also near the area, definitely discover, definitely like go explore to see like if you are interested to participate in some of the events. So first of all, we have the Foundations of Digital Game 2025. This event happening in Vienna, Austria, and then to Graz, University of Technology. Well, the event kicked off yesterday, April 15, to this Friday, April 18. Well, this year's theme of the event is Accessible Worlds United Through Play. So you can see from the theme is we like everybody coming together to discuss, especially on the accessibility of game design, right? We want to make sure that the game can be experienced and enjoyed by everyone, regardless of the ability or background. I think this is a very interesting angle to think about, especially for me myself. I'm building a indie game. We also need to think about when we design the gameplay. Can everybody enjoy it? Can everybody with all the ability and background enjoy it? So I feel like there will be a lot of great talk and then discussion over there. So to participate, the in-person tickets range from $400 to $600, but it is a 4-day event. But if you want to participate remotely, it's $50. Once you register, you can have the full access to sessions and keynotes and etc. So it's a great opportunity to connect and then to learn, right? And really like think, like join the discussion to shape the future of accessibility gaming. Well, second of all, we have this event, Games Job Fair, which is kind of perfectly aligned with today's theme. But this job fair is in Finland. So if you're in the area, it's happening next Thursday. It's a 1-day event and it's free. So if you're nearby, join there. It's in Helsinki City Hall, and it's open to anyone, like open to game developer, artist, designer, and it's like no matter if you're new or you're experienced, I just feel like it would be a really great event to connect with people, like and maybe you will find your next dream job in the game industry, right? And then there another featured event, after party. It's in is in headquarter as well, and then like, but however you do need separate registration for the after party, so make sure to register if you're interested. All right, so the last event is the Hit Games Conference Berlin 2025. This event will happen next Thursday and Friday in Berlin, Germany. Well, the Hit Game Conference (HGC) is an international B2B event, so which means it will be more focused on the development, publishing, and growth of the gaming market side. Well, and then it covers a wide range of games, right? So mobile, PC, console, Web3, and more. They cover like a wide range of different like console, right? And then HGC, this event is definitely like year to year. This event itself have grown, and then it really become one of the major global events inside of game industry, and it have attract already for 24,000 uh, professionals like for more than 90 countries, right? So definitely if you are more on the B2B side, which means you're game developers, if you are publishers or you provide gaming services, this is some event you can look into. And it's about 400 to 600 euros as well. Unfortunately, no online attendance for this event, but if you're just happen to be around Germany, definitely it's something you can think about. This is next week, Thursday and Friday. All right, so that's it for my news section, and we'll head back to the main room. And yeah, excited to see Amir.
Hey, it's Amir. Yes. How
Hi,
are you, sir?
Amir.
I'm good. Hello, 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 and hi everybody who's in the audience. This is so much fun, and thank you both for all the fun in the pre-chat and all your kindness coming up to the event. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Well, we're definitely happy to have you for sure, and I'm sure everybody viewing is like, oh, they're fanning a little bit here.
Thank you.
You are awesome. You do know that.
Oh, you're all too nice. You're all too nice. No, this is going to be great, and as I mentioned to both of you, I love things like the lab that are really about honest discussions, but also about positivity and finding the good things going on in our industry. And that's certainly part of the brand that you all have, which is why I was very happy to be
But we're definitely excited to be able to share all this stuff. For some reason, I do apologize for everybody on LinkedIn. It's saying that it's live, but it's not live for some reason, which is a issue. Go live, and it won't let me do it. But nonetheless, um, so Amir, tell us a little bit about the games community. What is the point of it? Like, what made you come about this? And
Definitely. I think there's of course many reasons, but I would say the two biggest ones are the personal story, which many of you who are regulars have heard, which is that, I didn't get my start in the games industry until I was, 38, 39 years old. Most of that was because of choice, because I'm very close to my family and it was important to me to be on the East Coast. But, certainly another part of that is that I did not know what the angles were to kind of find my way in the industry. Growing up, in Connecticut, there was certainly nobody in the industry anywhere near me. Boston came on a little bit more, but that's, been a more recent development. It certainly wasn't true when I was in high school or college for the most part. And so that idea and kernel of like, I want to do something so nobody's in the same position I'm in, that was already kind of in my mind. But then when the layoffs happened, it took on a much more visceral angle of like, I know what this is like. I've been unemployed before. I've had family members who've lost jobs for long periods of time, and it was near Thanksgiving. And I said, like, we need to do something to help people. And so I would say that these two things combined to make it a pretty potent drive to try to do something. And it's true at the beginning, it was me, but I think the part of it that means the most to me is certainly even after the first 2 or 3 months, it's a real collective effort now. And I'm perhaps proudest that over the community's lifetime, if you can believe it, more than 10,000 people have done something in some capacity, even if that's answering someone's message, giving them a coaching session to make this community go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great to hear because Amir, I'm also in your community. I joined your community as well, and I'm just amazed, like how many people just like like I guess you don't. You don't have
Sorry,
to.
Kyle, with the bits. Very awesome.
Thank you, Kyle. So I know like you probably like have a like when like what is a journey like, you know, like at the beginning you probably like set up this thing. Like did you you know, like how long it take you to see that growth, and then like is that growth like organic or just like or explosive, you know, like what was the journey like?
You know, it's very interesting. I think that the toughest part of the journey for me was before I actually launched the community, I spent like 3 or 4 months studying other communities and trying to understand what did they do that worked and what did they do that didn't work. And as many of you know, I realized that the two things that I wanted to do that I realized a lot of other places didn't. Well, actually, maybe three. One is that I was certain from the beginning I wanted it to always be free and to think of it as a public service. The
Mm-hmm.
second one is I wanted to make all the resources as simple as possible. Like I didn't want something that needed some wild algorithm or programming or a complex website, which is why by design, a lot of our stuff is in Google Docs, in Excel, in simple things like that. And the third thing is I wanted to make sure that anything that I offered to one person, I offered to everybody. And so for the first 6 months, I would say honestly, it felt a little bit lonely because I think people didn't really know what to make of it. It's like, what is this? It's like really simple. How do I use it? And it took a lot of patience, which is what I tell a lot of new content creators. Going from like 1,000, 2,000 followers to 5,000 took a long time. And it took a
Mm-hmm.
lot of patience of just posting and posting and posting and posting until people kind of got it and even better, wanted to like volunteer themselves. And I would say once we got to about 10,000, I was like, okay, maybe we've got something. And then it took another 6 to 9 months to get like another, to double that. And by then, I knew we had the right formula. But I think what's so interesting about it is, and this is really hard, at least I find it really hard, is
Mm-hmm.
you have to constantly invent yourself. Like those who have been with me from the beginning, since we started, roughly almost 3 years ago now, there have been resources that I had that we've dropped. There have been resources that are dramatically changed. There's been entire programs that we brought on, dropped, edited, changed. And I just feel like basically what the community needs, we change with the community. So I'm also proud that everything we have is the direct result of community feedback of something that someone told us they need.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think like I think the first thing you said, like right, like spending 3 4 months to study like how like study other community definitely like can help. And then like it's just also affirming to hear you say, you know, like at the beginning things are really hard, right? Because sometimes like when we starting something, we're not sure that if it's gonna grow or not. But you know, you just keep doing it, and then like well on the way that you adjusting your direction, and then you just go for it, and then it take patience, take a lot, right? So
it's
that's
it's it's
awesome.
it's a lot of ups and downs, and it's like to your point, when I first started, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Everybody has to start somewhere. I was probably getting no more than 10 likes on average per post for
Mhm,
probably like 6 to 9 months easily. And then to contrast that, on the other end of it is once we hit the peak, there was a
mhm,
period in 2023, early 2024, where like the numbers we had for the channel were like huge. I
mhm,
would make like a post about just about anything, and the minimum impressions would be like 100,000.
mhm,
When LinkedIn made major algorithm changes in the back half of 2024, they changed how everything works on the platform. So everybody's numbers looked like they came way down. But in
mhm,
fact, what they really did is they made it so it was more targeted. So you only got engagement from people who really wanted to see the content. So I guess I just say this to say it's not like also you go up the mountain and you never come down. It's true that our
mhm,
follower numbers have never come down, but you also have to adjust because, like, these algorithms, they have almost life cycles of their own. Audience comes, audience goes. It's always changing.
mhm. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Like lots of like notes in what you just said, right? Like totally. So and then Amir, I'm curious. Like when you first started this, definitely something mean to you, right? You want to build a community, and did you ever thought about it would be like today? Like the
definitely not. But you know what? I'll tell you why I really love that question. I think I never thought it would be as big as this, but I also think
Sorvel.
it's
Thank you, Sorvel. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there and
not,
interrupt you.
not at all, not at all. But I also think it's so important to ask yourself, like, what is your goal? Like, again, to point my not that anybody can do this, but like my goal wasn't to be like Mr. Beast, right? My goal wasn't to be some like major front end influencer. My goal from the beginning was to be as effective as I could be in being present and helpful to games people, and that's it. Frankly, the fact that we get now a crossover audience and we get some people who are not in games, professionally, I mean, who just love the industry or maybe want to be in it, I consider that like great and a bonus and like a Sunday on top. And over time, I've kind of tuned into that, both in terms of the messaging and how I feel, and making clear that really, like, I want the community to be for everybody, whether they're in the industry or not. So again, I just think I didn't think it was going to get as big, but I think constantly reminding myself what I wanted it to be and not being like, I just want to be big, full stop. That really helped me stay focused, I think.
yeah, that's awesome to hear.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess like, like what's the, like you said, you always like trying to like invent yourself, like, trying to like what's new for the community, right?
There's one or two big things that are top of mind for me. One that, again, regulars have heard me talk about a lot because it's really important is I take a lot of pride in the fact that I try to blend heart with data. And one thing that's super important to me is, you know, I think that because of the way our community has built trust and that data oriented approach, we're able to have really unique information that's not available anywhere else. One of those is a lot of the data that I have in building a closed loop model of basically what the odds are for applicants, how many roles exist in games, how many people come in, how many go out by splits, by function, by geography, by anything that you would want. And what that data tells me is, depending upon what level of experience and expertise and so forth that you have, your odds of getting a role in games over 12 months is as low as 5% if you're entry level or very senior, like 50 plus. And even at peak for industry people who are veterans in like their mid 30s, it's probably like 25 to 30%. Now, the reason I mention this is if you think about all the effort that is made by games organizations, nonprofits, streams, content providers, I would say it is fair to say 90% of that effort or more, at schools as well, games programs, is spent on how do we get games people or people who are studying or interested in games into games jobs. But I've realized I had to do that when we started because we had to start somewhere. But now I've realized that's kind of backwards because if 95% of entry level people aren't going to find a job in games, why aren't we spending 95% of the time giving the resources about jobs outside of games that they're qualified for, given what their skill set is? And so I launched a major project. So to give you a sense of scale,
Hmm.
every resource in the community, except for our Discord, where we have, a lot of reviewers and moderators, but every resource basically is made by one person. In many cases, that one person is me. And for a lot of the guest resources, it's made by someone else. I pulled together a group of 25 volunteers. 25 volunteers. Again, the largest resource we ever made has been with 2 people. 25 volunteers led by a very experienced EP and project management person named Tyler Cushing, and we're calling it Project Reality. That is a full year project, as long as it takes. And the goal of that, if on our website, right, we have 15 resources and we have stuff
Hmm.
on Discord and LinkedIn and so forth, I want that to be a resource within resources of almost like anywhere between 5 to 15 resources itself that is entirely focused on one thing, which is how do we give information and resources to games people to find non-games work. So I would say that is the number one focus for this year for new activities.
And where's
Wow,
that all
yeah,
pulled at?
that's very impressive. Patrick, I think you're on mute.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
maybe not.
Am I on mute? No, I don't think I'm on mute. Have you? I totally forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, where is that all amassed at, Amir? How do we get access to what you're talking about?
Oh, Patrick, I can't hear you, my friend.
Here.
Sorry.
How's this? Can you hear me now? No? Ah, what the heck? Oh, it's because I'm solo talk. There we go. Now you can hear me, right?
There
you
you
go.
go.
Okay.
Awesome.
I was
That's
solo
all right.
talking with Dean. Dean's in the background here. I was talking with him.
Nice.
Sorry. Okay. So, um, where do they get all of this? All this diligent work that's been amassed that we're talking about. How do I find out? How do I get access to this?
You know, it's a great question, and something that we've worked on since the life of the community itself is organizing all of it in a way that's easy to get at, because it's a lot of stuff. It's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. I'm very proud to say it's a lot of stuff, but I know it
Mhm.
can be kind of intimidating now. So what I tell people is the easiest thing to remember is remember one thing. My first name and last name, all one word.com, amirsatvat.com. If you go to amirsatvat.com, you're going to find our 6 categories of 15 resources. Category 1 is listing yourself to be found by hiring managers and recruiters. It really works. Category number 2 is our free community coaching. That's our 2,300 volunteers across mentorships, LinkedIn CV reviews, mock interviews, and art portfolio reviews.
2,300, you said?
2,300
That is
across.
quite a group.
We've given over 70,000 free coaching conversations to people, all for free.
That's beautiful.
And I'm really proud of that. And now we, in fact, by community request, we do everything because the community asks for it. We actually have dedicated reviewers just on our Discord as well. And I'm proud to say we are not only the #1 search for Google for games jobs resources, but we're now also the #1 SEO search on Discord as well for games careers. And we
That's
have
impressive.
over 11,000 people on Discord now. And I think we'll at least grow 50% of that by end of year. And so category 2 is those coaching conversations. Category 3 is we have the largest assembly of games jobs roles in the world across several different resources. Category 4 is our games org support post, because we have so much trust with the community. When any organization has a programmatic layoff, we've done over 100 and almost 125 of these, where the org trusts me and sends me all the information of everyone who's been laid off, and I post against it to give them visibility. Category 5 is our general career resources, which have a lot of stuff around like thinking about your career, things like how to build a startup, things like how to get your CV and resume together, and so forth. And category 6 is kind of the interesting grab bag of other stuff. We have free LinkedIn premium trials. We've given nearly 1,800 free tickets away, and we're an official partner for GDC and this year for Gamescom. And so, you know, it's a lot of stuff. And then the last thing I'll say is that's all the stuff on the site. I post anywhere from 2 to 5 times a day on LinkedIn itself. The link to my LinkedIn is on the website.
Yes.
We have the Discord, which I mentioned, open to join. And I also post on Blue Sky by community request, but that's a smaller presence. So that's basically all the stuff. And I tell people, just go on the site and just click through it from 1 to 15. It honestly won't take you more than 15 minutes, and you'll have a sense of how everything works. And the best thing I can tell people is, in addition to the 3,500 plus people, gamers who we've helped place in jobs, I can convincingly show that if you use our resources for more than 3 months and you diligently use them as part of your application process, we have double the odds of job placement in something of people who do not use our resources at all.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. You guys, make sure you're paying attention to that. Take these notes. That's why we're having this episode. Speaking of giving away tickets and stuff, you're kind of directly involved with the Games Beat Summit, aren't you?
I am. So with the great Dean Takahashi and the invincible Gina Joseph and team, I'm very delighted that they have me again, being there as a panel. I try to be present at every Games Beat event, like really after the community itself and like my family and my employer. I would say Games Beat has been the most important advocate and organization that has helped our community achieve the success it has. So, you know, I'll always do anything to go to bat for them, because it's a great organization with great events.
Awesome. So I know we need to be conscious of time. I believe, Miss Liu, you probably do need to start taking off, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what we do have uh, Mr. Dean um, here with us as well. So we'll say goodbye to you, Cassandra. We appreciate you as always, and we'll be bringing Mr. Takahashi on here. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Cassandra.
All right, and he should be popping up here momentarily.
Hello.
Hi, Dean.
Hey, Amir. I see Amir for sure. Yeah. I don't see Patrick.
Let's see. Yes, there he is. That's why he's in your screen. Let's just move him over. Oop, there we go. All right, Mr. Dean, how are you, sir?
Good. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Why not have his audio? Okay, give me one more second, guys. Sorry, we're not used to using this in this manner.
I believe my microphone's on.
All right, yeah.
Can you hear me, Amir?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
All right, so we kind of segued a little bit into GamesBeat Summit, and this being a very
Now I can't hear you, Patrick.
Oh, you can't hear me.
I see a muted microphone on. Yeah, on
right,
Patrick. Now it just came off.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, and this is why I usually do this behind the scenes and I'm not on camera.
Yeah. No, I know that. I know that's hard juggling that yourself.
So tell us a little bit about GamesBeat Summit, Dean. About the opportunities and just all the great stuff going on.
Yeah. Awesome to be here. Thank you. I am always delighted to have Amir come and speak, and he's going to speak again. And I don't know if you've really heard how great Amir is. We did do another session at the Game Developers Conference, and he got a lot of people from his community into that show for free. That was pretty amazing. He also was the first ever recipient of the Game Changers Award back at the Game Awards in December, and he was on stage accepting the award in front of more than 100 million people across the world.
That was so incredible. We were at home cheering you on. Oh, look at Amir, that's awesome.
Yeah, so glad to be here with him. We have a business-to-business conference that's happening on May 19th and 20th in Los Angeles. It's the GamesBeat Summit. Amir's going to be there speaking about ageism in games on a panel, and he's got some data that's very interesting in that respect. We have a lot of very sort of veteran speakers from the game industry, a lot of leaders. Mitch Lasky, one of the people who's financed some multiple billion-dollar companies in the industry. He's one of the speakers. We have other folks who are leaders, but we also have people sort of on the ground floor. And Amir, I think of as one of those people who's always sort of speaking up for the people who are trying to break into the industry. We have people from the SAG-AFTRA union that will come and speak and talk about the unionization efforts that they're trying to do for the voice actors in the industry. And we have others coming to talk about just sort of the politics in the game industry as well. So a wide variety of talks. We normally get hundreds of people in. Amir has about 20 tickets to give away to his community, so that we can bring people into the event that way too.
So that could be you guys. You guys watching right now, that could be you. Amir's cell phone is. No, I'm just kidding.
But happy to answer any questions you have about it too.
So now, how would that benefit me? I don't really know much about much. I got a 2D Sky Scrolling game that I'm kind of excited about, and I don't really know the industry and stuff. How would GamesBeat Summit benefit me?
Well, we have a news website as well. Gamesbeat.com is our website where we're writing about the events of the industry every day. We try to bring a lot of the newsmakers into the event to talk about the things that they're doing. And I think that's relevant, for people in the community, people who are trying to break into the industry. There's a lot of advice sessions. We just signed up a guy named Adam Kugler today, who's a solo game developer, has been making a game for the past 3 years all by himself, right? And he's getting very close to launching something. So I think that there are advice sessions like that, different kinds of roundtables or big stage speeches or
Probably tons
very
of networking, no?
highly engaging sessions. Yeah. So you know, I I think everybody is continuously learning on how to be better at their work in the game industry, right? And so the learning goes all the way up the chain, all the way up to CEOs who have advice for each other, on down to the people who are trying to break in.
Yeah, it's really fun. You know what I think about it, like Patrick, is that if if GDC is like New York City, I feel like Games Beat events are like the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's like they get it nicely focused and concentrated. They have a really nice range of things, and you really feel, and this is maybe the biggest compliment I can give as someone who loves quality journalism, which is why I've always, really Dean has been one of my heroes, is that you feel that you're in an event that is being provided by an organization that is A level in journalism, in the sense that I think the quality of discussions, the seriousness of the panels, the range of the panels is there. And I also think for someone who's newer to the industry, frankly, I think it's probably less intimidating to go to an event like that still has a lot of scope, but you don't just feel totally overwhelmed of like whom you're going to talk to and what you're going to do. And there's still super heavy people there. Like the last time I was there, I think Ed Fries was there. I literally ran into Will Wright. I ran into Mike Morheim. They're all totally approachable. But on the other end, they're just normal industry people or entry level people like you or me or people out of college. So it's really nice. Everyone is kind of there like equals. It's like King Arthur's table.
So I'm not trying to push my luck here, but how would I possibly apply for one of these tickets with your game community? How would I do that? Since Dean just told on you and said you have some.
Oh, absolutely. No, I always, again, try to make it super easy. So, whenever there's a new offering, I always post about it on LinkedIn. So I always tell people there's 2 easy things you can do. The easiest one is at amirsatvat.com in category 6, we have the resource that we call Ticket to Ride. Ticket Ride has an easy button for every event. So currently we have 3 events, Gamescom, DevCom, and GamesBeat. You just click on the button, you fill out a Google form, it takes a few minutes, voila. The other thing is, anytime that there's something new, I post it on LinkedIn so you can hit the bells to not miss any of my posts. And I cross-post it on Discord and I cross-post it on Blue Sky. So basically, you kind of can't miss, but if you want a foolproof way, just bookmark the website and maybe check it once a week or something like that.
Okay, very, very, very good. Now, Dean, with GamesBeat Summit and we have VentureBeat, what is the difference between the two, between GamesBeat and VentureBeat?
I tend to write for both, but VentureBeat is really much more focused on tech and, in particular, AI in the enterprise. GamesBeat is all about games and the industry around them. I tend to like the intersection between these different industries, and I've covered NVIDIA since they were born. Right, I wrote the very first story on NVIDIA back in 1996, wow. And look how big they became, right? And so but there's always very interesting flow between technology and game companies, and that's why I like it.
And what have you in you're obviously very vocal. You're very active. Is it GamesBeat? Is it the community? Is it a mix of 2? What gives you that drive to keep doing?
Well, I do enjoy talking to a wide variety of people. I've had the opportunity, thanks to this job, to go around the world and meet game developers and people in the game industry from all over the world. And I write things, and they respond to them and say, sometimes that I'm missing a point of view, right? And I think when Amir came along, he helped me understand the view from the ground floor much more so than I was so often talking to CEOs about the game industry, and I was missing out on this reality, that came along in the past 2.5 years of like we've had 35,000 layoffs in the game industry, and many studios closing down. So it's not all a rosy picture, right?
Right,
And
right.
I think that, but responding to that kind of pressure, I think helps sort of rebalance what we do, and to tell stories about people on this level. I think Amir is amazing because he's doing all this in his spare time
Right,
for
right.
free. For no real
That's why we love him.
reward and compensation, but he is doing more to help people find jobs than any other company in the industry, like large companies that could be spending a whole lot of energy
And they
and
don't.
time on this problem. He does more than they are, right, in his spare time. So I think, like, I mean, he has the benefit of being in something like a quant, I guess.
Right.
But I think he inspires all of the people to pay more attention to this critical area of transparency in the industry and getting people more jobs when they need them. Right.
Sure. Now,
You're wonderful, Dean. Well, I also have to say, Patrick, if I may, that it's a little bit of a yin and yang. Like I feel like what's been really fun is I feel like I love with Dean and with the GamesBeat team bringing out the best in each other. Because what I often tell people is so many of the things we've done, they've started as questions that Dean, either Dean himself or someone at a GamesBeat event or one of his colleagues has asked, or Gina, and then it's like, well, can we find that? How can we find that?
right,
And to
right.
Dean's point, I think he I have to give him credit because, he always says it, of course, in his gentle, nice way, but he is so right that, like, I ask myself this all the time too, which is like, why is there's this misconfiguration of why no one has gone looking after this information? And at a certain level, it's kind of like an easy answer, but maybe a lazy answer too, which is like, why would somebody, for example, pull all the job data for like every company in the industry? The
Okay,
only
so then,
reason you would do the only reason you would do that is you work for, I don't know, like the Bureau of like Economics or something like
right.
that. But like, so like, and the ESA certainly doesn't have an incentive. So it's kind of interesting. I think the most intellectually interesting thing to me out the last 3 years has been the stuff that is actually the most interesting to most job seekers, and in many cases, many companies, is in a weird kind of in between area that nobody has the incentive to actually go do.
Because I was just going to ask you, and I don't want to hold you to the question, but if you had to postulate, Dean, why?
Mhm.
Why is it someone like Amir that's taking the charge of this movement, and not someone who has, or a group that is backed by millions of dollars and stuff? Why do you suppose that they're kind of being not as transparent, like Amir said,
Mhm.
with this data?
Uh, I think the incentives for every party just aren't always aligned for the whole best interests of the entire community and ecosystem, right?
Right.
And I think for CEOs, they want to get the revenue and profit growth, right? That's their incentive. That's how Wall Street rewards them, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think the industry is healthy unless you consider other things too, like what is the job growth like in the industry, right? Alongside that revenue and profit growth. And are they also absorbing and accepting new technologies like AI? If you could get all three of those things going in the sort of positive direction at the same time, you would say that things are healthy in the game industry. But too often those things are not in sync, right? Sometimes when technology growth stalls, it can cause revenue and profits to just halt as well, right, and stop, right? But like revenue growth in the industry is great for some of the biggest companies, maybe, or the winners in this space. But if you don't have job growth to go with that, then you have an industry that still has a lot of troubles for the people who are working in.
So let me ask both of you guys this. Um, we've we've had on the wind in discussions that the tide is going to turn. Indies are taking over. The AAA had their time and all this, right? What is the validity in that, or is there any?
Well, I would say, we do have Grand Theft Auto 6 coming later this year.
Right, right.
This is going to be a giant juggernaut of a trade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, that's going to be, as long as it actually comes out, it's going to be a very big game.
Yeah,
Right?
it's definitely a balance to Dean's point. Like, I think it is probably true that people's time is being competed for by more things than ever,
Sure.
by games, by TikTok, by Netflix, etc.
Mhm.
And the stuff that exists has a much firmer capture than ever before, right? Roblox, Fortnite, World of Warcraft, Apex Legends. All of these things are very sticky, and they try not to let people out, and they make good games.
Right.
So the bottom line is, for people outside, probably a small number of developers that I would probably quote as being in the tens at the most, making the old $100 to $400 million games. If you pour that amount of money into the machine and you turn the crank and like a satisfying financial outcome comes out, that is probably not sustainable. So I think people are going to have to figure out how to make leaner games and how to do that. I think what's interesting about that as a quick second point is something that, again, spurred by a Dean question, we worked out, and then he reported on beautifully, a full geographic. I figured out at Dean's urging a full bottoms-up geographic mapping of where jobs are in the industry. And the bottom line is, if we triangulate that with another interesting person whom I know we both like, which is Matt Ball, and Matt Ball's report on like cost of headcount, if a head is $160,000 to $170,000 in LA and it's $50,000 in China,
right? Why would you not go with that?
My bold prediction is, I have been predicting since mid 2024 that Q1 25 would be the break-even point for layoffs versus hiring, and I actually believe that is true.
And you still think it still holds?
I think that layoffs this year will be in the range that I'm forecasting of 7 to 10,000. And I actually think, and I hope I'm right, but I could be wrong, while layoffs was the boogie person for the last 3 years, I think layoffs might stabilize. But what will happen is the amount of offshoring and job shifting out of North America into other low-cost locations may happen at a rate and speed and aggressiveness that people have not kind of calibrated for.
Okay. And do you, how do you, I know he's basing a lot of his thought on you, Dean, but do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do the easy part of saying, why don't you, asking these questions of, well, why don't we have these numbers, right? And Amir goes and finds them and figures it out. I do think that, there's a very interesting opportunity for people. That's a layer of the industry that really didn't exist before, and that was external development. And there has always been outsourcing and, say, offshoring as well. But there are very large companies now that are doing a whole lot of the heavy lifting of finishing and making a game. Keywords is an example of a company that does what they call external development for game studios and game publishers, and they have 13,000 people working for them. There's 4,000 people working for Virtuous, another one of these external development companies. And so it's a middle layer here where these people are very fluid and they can be applied by, the big game companies to go work on particular studios' games and finish them. And so many times now, some of these studios can stay about the size of 50 people, right? That's the core of the studio, but they could be supplemented by hundreds of people.
Right.
Some of them who are actually there from the very beginning of the creation of the game, right? So,
yeah, I agree with all of that. Like, I like making kind of light statements, Patrick, that I feel high confidence in, and then like building them out further. And so like, I'll make these two light statements, which I think are going to be true. One is, if you find a job in video games 3 years from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you're going to be much more likely than ever before that job that you get is not going to be a traditional role that existed 20 years ago in like a AAA, where you sit in the AAA, you're there for 10 to 15 years, you make a AAA game every 4 to 7 years, then you make another one and you move somewhere else. I think other things, whether that's places that Dean is mentioning like Keywords, smaller studios, smaller production, other things that maybe we can't even imagine now, those are going to take more space. I think the second thing is the most common question I get, other than Amir, where can I get a job, is Amir, when is the industry going to recover?
Right.
And over time, I've realized that the calibration of that question has to be, what lens are you looking through?
Sure.
If the lens is a global standpoint of what is global employment or revenue in the industry, that is a very different question than asking how many jobs are there going to be in California or in North America or something like that. So I think that lens and what we really mean by break even and for whom is going to become increasingly important.
Gotcha. All right.
Totally
So
agree. Yeah.
I do want to be conscious of your time, Amir, and you did tell me that probably about now is when you may have to be popping off there. So I think we're probably. Do you guys have any last last thoughts? Anything that just that one last piece of awesomeness for somebody to go and find?
Just Dean's a treasure. Support great journalism for as long as you can. We don't have a lot of it left. We all have a responsibility to protect it. It's not just writing. I think of it as an art like anything else. So support great journalism, support GamesBeat. And Patrick, thank you for giving us both the opportunity to talk about these important issues. So they're not easy all the time, but we have to talk about them.
Sure. And I'm very grateful for you guys coming on to stand in the face of what doesn't look like the best stuff sometimes, and provide that little bit of you're going to be all right type thing, and I think that's very important. And then you combine that with the just unparalleled information and attention to detail that you guys put in your work that just it's unrivaled.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here with you, Dean and Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys both. Any last things on GamesBeat, Dean? I'm really trying to push this.
Well, I do think that game journalism has been hurting tremendously. Sometimes it's a good thing in that we have competition that we didn't used to have from people who are not gatekeepers, which are the creators of the work, right? They're doing an awful lot of good work, and this kind of podcast is one of the examples, right, of that. And yet, I think we are still here today because we took an approach of trying to build a community, right, and having the community come together at events in person has turned out to be one of the things that has kept us healthy enough to employ game journalists, right? And so we appreciate the support of this community and people like Amir, who are always, sort of coming to the event. And we are grateful for folks who turn out to be sponsors, but also just people who, come and enjoy the event and talk about it. So we're hopeful that this model will be the one that helps us, be here for the long term.
For sure.
And to be able to, tell stories about people like Amir, who otherwise would have sort of, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten noticed on his own.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah.
But we help.
No, but it's really hard. Like as I'll say as the last thing, Patrick. Like, here's a fact, and I know I've talked about GamesBeat a lot, deservedly so. But if I think about every touch point that we've had for our community, where there was like a hockey stick and something changed, it was because of somebody in journalism. I swear to God, this is true. It's because of somebody in journalism, whether it was Dean, GamesIndustry.biz, Sarah Pervini at LA Times, NPR. And like, I constantly ask myself, not like for Amir, for like, putting a ribbon around my neck. But if the next person like me comes along and wants to do it for another industry or something in games, how are they going to get there if those outlets don't exist? Like,
Right.
influencers are great too, and I have a great deal of respect for influencers, but it's different. They serve different complementary purposes. They're
Right.
not the same.
Right. Right. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, I'm just so jazzed to have both you guys on. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I know we're already probably 4 or 5 minutes over, Amir. So, on that note, I really appreciate you guys. Sorry.
Patrick, thank you for fighting through. I know you weren't feeling 100% today. The superstars play hurt. Hey, bless, and thanks to everyone who stuck with us through this. Appreciate
Yes.
all the comments too popping up on the screen. We see it. We appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
having
you
us on
guys.
the show.
And you guys, again, every Wednesday, the lab at 7 p.m. Next week, we got some really cool stuff from our friends up in Canada from XP Game Summit. But don't forget, go over to GameSpeed Summit if you want to speak. There's a space for speakers, or if you just want to find out how maybe you can get into journalism. You love games, but maybe you're not a programmer. Maybe you're not an animator. Maybe go and check out AmirSatvat.com. Go through the whole Dave the Diver of the. You can't. It's a great resource. At GameSpeed Summit. And on that note, we appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.